Welcome to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about my top 10 designer fall fragrances, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. So fall is here again. The warm weather is starting to disappear. The colder weather is coming in, and with that we get a great selection of fragrances. I actually really like the colder months a lot better for fragrances because a lot of the darker and sort of heavier fragrances wear a lot better in the colder weather. And so I'm kind of happy that fall is here, and I'll be even happier when winter is here because there's a lot of great fragrances that I haven't really had a chance to wear, but that time is here once again. So, number 10. Number 10 is an easy designer fragrance for me. This is Bleu de Chanel. I have had this one for a while, but probably the most used of any of my fragrances that I have because it is such an easy choice. It's an easy wear, and frankly, it does smell amazing. This is a good one for the office. It's a good one for pretty much any occasion. This is also one that women do tend to like. It's a little bit deeper, a little bit darker than the original. It has all the edges sort of smoothed out, and I do really enjoy this one. It's my favorite from the line, and it's my number 10 spot. In number 9, I just recently tried this one out, and it is Pure Coffee. I do like this one a lot. I will say up front, it would probably be higher if the coffee note was a little bit longer lasting. But this one has a nice bit of that chocolatey Amen DNA, and it has an amped up coffee note. So I do really love coffee fragrances. I don't really like coffee, but I like the way it smells. So a nice chocolatey coffee accord is certainly something that I enjoy a lot, and it does certainly suit somewhat colder weather. I don't think this one is quite beast mode enough to really be in the dead of winter, but for fall it works well. And it has that chocolatey sweetness to sort of balance out the coffee note. And what's also nice is it has a fairly strong patchouli note, and the patchouli is a nice, somewhat, I want to say, dirty and earthy patchouli. It's not, of course, overpowering, but this is, to my nose, dominated by coffee, patchouli, and with that chocolatey Amen DNA. So, another thing is this one, I believe it's been reformulated, so the performance isn't as good as it used to be. So that's a bit of an issue with this one. Although it doesn't perform poorly, I think the biggest thing I would like is the coffee to last a little bit longer. But other than that, I do enjoy this one, and I put it at number 9 for that reason. Number 8 needs no introduction, and it is the OG Spicebomb. I got that little bottle there, and I do really love this one, and in fact, it is my favorite deodorant as well. I really love the way this fragrance smells. It has this nice, sweet, spicy aroma that, especially during the opening and then for the first few hours, really gives me this kind of Coca-Cola gummy vibe that I really enjoy. This one is just very easy to wear, very mass appealing. It's not quite as upfront and peppery as the Extreme, which I do also enjoy. I consider this one to be a little bit actually more on the sweet side and a little bit less spicy, but it is nonetheless a really great fragrance. And it is certainly sweet enough that it's good to wear in the colder months. So now that it's cooling down, I think this is definitely a good time to wear Spicebomb. Of course, this one does need no introduction whatsoever. It's been talked about by many, many people quite a bit, and for good reason. It is a fantastic designer fragrance. It's probably one of the best designer fragrances on the market, and that is my number 8 spot. My number 7 spot is Azzaro Wanted by Night. This is actually a really nice version of the Wanted fragrance. It's a little bit more seductive. I like the addition of the orange there. It adds a nice sweetness and an almost watery-like quality. It has cinnamon to give it a little bit of spice, and I can say this one has certainly gotten me compliments, and it's gotten me compliments as well on dates, which is one of the main purposes I think this fragrance has. But it is a little bit stronger, it is definitely a little sweeter, and it has a little bit of spice. So this is definitely one that I think you need to wear when it's cooler out. Hot days don't really work so well with this one. And of course, as the name implies, it's really nice for evenings. This is kind of an evening out kind of wear for me. This is something that often I would think of as perhaps a substitute to something like Dolce & Gabbana The One, which I still love. But this is a little bit, I guess, more modern, and it has, to me, a lot of the same applications. Colder weather, definitely a date fragrance, definitely something you can wear on a night out, and I do enjoy this one a lot. As you can see, I do have a bottle, so that is my number 7. This one makes the list again from last year, and that is Insurrection 2 Wild. A lot of people talk about this one as a sort of clone to Pure Havana, and I guess I do get that idea. This one is a really, really nice sort of cherry tobacco, and it is really well performing. I actually enjoy this one a lot. What else is nice about this one? Very cheap. You can get this one for about $25, I think. So it is good value for the money. And it is one that I enjoy wearing when I go out, especially when I'm outside in the colder weather, because it does perform really well. And it just has this really beautiful, masculine, somewhat sweet cherry with a nice tobacco background. And honestly, it's a really nice pipe tobacco, and it works really well. I mean, honestly, for the price point too, this one is fantastic. I do enjoy it as well. That's my number 6 spot. Number 5, new to the list, although not a new fragrance by any means, and that is Stronger With You. This is actually often compared to By the Fireplace. I will talk about that comparison a little bit more, but I mean, the thing is that they don't smell very similar, but I think they're very suitable for a similar situation. A lot of people talk about this as sort of a cuddling, close encounter kind of fragrance, and it does have this really nice sort of candied sweetness. It does have some spices to it, and so it has this very warm, welcoming, very appealing kind of quality to it, and it certainly is very, very nice. And personally, I like the bottle for this one. I might even pick up a full bottle of this one because it does look very nice, and it's fairly inexpensive. This one can be gotten fairly cheaply. So I do like this one. Definitely good for when it's colder outside, and definitely suitable for when you're staying in with someone special. Very good fragrance, Stronger With You. So this one, I recently picked up a sample from Sephora. I'm a little bit surprised that I like this one and how much I did like this one, especially with the inclusion of the note of iris. But this is a beautiful fragrance, and it is Dior Homme Intense. This has this really nice powdery kind of cocoa vibe that almost reminds me of like hot chocolate, although it's not quite as watery. It maybe reminds me more of the powder. Very nice, sensual, seductive cocoa, and the Intense version, of course, has very nice performance. A lot of people kind of prefer the parfum, but it is insanely strong. This one is not quite as strong. In that respect, it's a little bit easier to wear. You can wear this one most times. It does have some classy elegance as well because of the inclusion of iris. And of course, I also really like the bottle of this one. It looks very cool, but certainly one I wasn't expecting to like. Not a huge fan of iris, but this one works really well. And it does certainly appeal to the fact that I very much like gourmands. This is definitely gourmand leaning with that very strong, very prominent powdery sort of cocoa note. And that is my number 4 choice. Number 3, you may have seen it coming, as I mentioned it a little bit earlier, and that is Dolce & Gabbana The One. This one will make lists of mine time and time again for good reason. It just has this really beautiful sort of aromatic tobacco, kind of like a fresh cigar store, and it has this very sensual, seductive sweetness with a lot of creaminess. This is a very beautiful fragrance. I cannot see this one going out of fashion. Certainly it might at some point, I don't know. But it is an older fragrance and manages to do that without being dated. So I do prefer the EDP. I find it a little bit deeper, a little bit richer. It also has slightly better performance, and of course, that is the only complaint with this one. The performance is not the best, but this is a mass appealing monster, and it is certainly a masterpiece of the designer around. This one is absolutely fantastic. You can also pick this one up fairly inexpensively if you find someone reliable on either a Facebook group or on eBay. I think I got this for about, I want to say $50 or $60, which I think for what you're getting is a fantastic value. This is really great for dates. You can wear this out. You can wear this most anytime. This is one that people like a lot, and I love it as well. Works very well. Nice, beautiful, ambery tobacco. Very sensual and a little bit creamy. Dolce & Gabbana the One, EDP. My number 2 spot I was actually not expecting as well. This is one I didn't like, mostly because I didn't feel like it worked on my skin when I first wore it. Decided to revisit it again recently, and this might be my favorite from the house now, and that is Jazz Club by Replica. This is such a beautiful, boozy tobacco, and what I like about this one the most is that the boozy quality is amped up. It's very strong. It's the strongest note to my nose with tobacco in the background, which I really enjoy. That's kind of the blend I gravitate towards with these boozy tobacco fragrances. A lot of times the tobacco is really strong, which can still smell good, but I often find myself wanting a little bit stronger of that boozy note. This has a very, very strong boozy note. Of course, not in any way overpowering, but it is very nicely done, very nicely composed. It's a little bit seductive, a little bit sensual. A lot of people talk about this as sort of a more modern version or an update or upgrade to Dolce & Gabbana the One. I guess I can kind of see where they're coming from. Definitely very similar family, but they do smell quite different. And I do enjoy both a lot, and I can easily see owning both as well. So that's my number 2 spot, Jazz Club by Replica. My number 1 spot, yes, the time is finally here again to wear this fragrance. I absolutely love this one. This fragrance is probably one of the main reasons I started liking leather as a note. Wasn't a huge fan of it, I didn't dislike it, but this certainly really paved that way, and that is Ombre Leather by Tom Ford. This is such a beautiful leather fragrance. It opens up with this sort of leather jacket kind of accord. It's a very slick kind of leather that dries down into this beautiful, beautiful suede. Very smooth, very sensual. And in the opening, it also has a little bit of sweetness as well to sort of take off the edge to that harsh sort of leather jacket, and it works really well. The leather is dominant without ever being overpowering, and this is one that I find fairly easy to wear. I've worn this at a lot of different occasions. You can certainly wear it almost any time. It's not super versatile, but it is fairly versatile. I would wear this whenever I feel like it, really, because it's very inoffensive, even for a leather forward fragrance. I find a lot of leather fragrances can be a little bit harder to wear, especially if they're really, really strong leather. And to my nose, leather is almost the only thing you get with this fragrance, but it's done really well. And it's done in such a way that it's not too much. And again, this one is one of Tom Ford's best fragrances, and it is one also that's one of his most affordable. So this is one that actually apparently used to be private blend. He moved it over to the designer realm, and it has that kind of price range. So you can get 50 ml of this for a not unreasonable price for what you're getting. And in my opinion, what you're getting is one of the best leather fragrances available. Certainly one of the best, if not the best, designer level leather fragrance. So that's it for this one, guys. That is my top 10. What are you guys looking forward to wearing this fall? What designer fragrances do you really enjoy wearing? Let me know in a comment down below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.